This is Official Nerd Business.
Hello nerd boys and girls, welcome back to Factorio. I am currently standing in a bit of an open field where I blew up some trees to make room for our oil production. As said before, I am rushing forwards to get the laser gun turrets. That's because I'm not really a big fan of the ordinary gun turrets as seen here. And for that we need batteries, and for that we need oil. Now luckily our starting spot gave us two little blips of oil here, and working with oil is kind of special. It's a bit of a steep learning curve to get into, so yeah, let's get cracking. In preparation, I've cleared a bit of trees around the oil patches, and I've also made a couple of instruments we will need for, including these, by the way. Hang on. If we get attacked, I've erected a little wall here and placed an additional gun turret. This side got attacked more and more frequently as I was clearing out this little bit. If I do get attacked, something is destroyed, I will walk over there, repair it, and cut out that part from the episode. We will focus on building, setting up our oil rigs. So let's get started. Oil is a bit of a weird resource in Factorio terms. Here you have miners, and whenever part of a patch is cleared, you can see here this is about done. There's still 1.5 thousand ore to be mined here, but when it's done, then this patch is cleared. Oil always stays here, but as you can see on the map, we have a yield, and the yield slowly decreases. So per second there will be less and less oil coming out of these two holes in the earth there, but it will always keep on going. So let's start by getting it out of the ground. We have two oil jacks, and you can place them in any rotation you want. Just make sure that you can reach them with a pipe. Speaking of pipes, I had produced some and put them in here. So there's that. Now crude oil goes into our refinery, and the setup I'm building here is by no means advised. Oil is used in a lot of things, and you also have different techniques later on, more advanced techniques that help you crack oil into the components you need and you want. So you need to make an oil setup that's adaptable for that purpose. Right now I'm just slapping together the basic pipeline for oil. I want to produce sulphur out of this, from which we will make batteries. And that's really all I want at this point. So I am making something that is sufficient for that. Here is basic oil processing. Later on you will get another recipe. Why select just the one thing? Well, there is an you need to tell the refinery what to do. There are several other things you can tell the refinery. Let's start the technology, by the way, and let's look at let's see, gates, why not. If we look at our tech tree, at the bit we already did, specifically oil processing, there are ways to, I'm not exactly sure, advanced oil processing, yes. You need the blue side specs for that, and when you do this you get an additional advanced oil processing recipe, where the efficiency of cracking oil is increased. You will get more oil, and also you will get different cracking recipes to convert heavy oil into light oil and light oil into petroleum. We will get to that in a bit. And for reference, the blue science specs requires oil as well, because we need advanced circuits, and advanced circuits are made from the regular green circuits and plastics. and a bit of copper cable. Plastics again are something gained from petroleum, and petroleum is something we get from cracking oil. As you can see, the crude oil goes in here, and out comes the heavy oil, the light oil, and petroleum. Now, to work with either of these, first let's store them. There's a bit of there's a bit of a let's get the rest. There's a bit of a problem with oil. Once any of these outputs fills up, it doesn't process oil anymore. So we need to do something about that. First off, let's simply store outputs in here would be fine, I guess. And underground pipes into here, and into here. And then I want to make sulfur, which is made from petroleum and water apparently. Oh yeah, this has two inputs because later this only requires crude oil. The advanced oil cracking, as we could see, as we saw a second ago, also requires water as input, and I now need water too for the sulfur processing. So let's build an additional pump here and draw in some water. And the pump is over here, I guess. No. I always miss the pump. Here it is. If there is one thing I can never find in the inventory here, it's the pump. Is this a good spot? Oh, in fact. Yeah. Let's do it here. In fact, size of the body of water doesn't really matter. And if we do it here, here, we are closest to where we want to be, and we can put a storage tank for water back here. For instance, let's grab some iron. I feel that we might be running short on iron in a bit. Ah, shame. Almost, but not quite. Yeah, let's go around. That's not good. So let's take the water around this array of bells, as we can't go beneath it. Yes. And then okay, let's drop down the water tank here. Okay, that starts filling up. Now we have water close by. Wait, that was trip for that, right? So now we want to make sulfur. And for that we just need a little bit of water and petroleum. So where are my pipes? Am I out of pipes? Oh, there are my pipes. I'm almost out of pipes. Oh, hang on. That's not right. This is better. And for water, attach this pipe and grab me some undergrounds. And build some more of those. That's level 8. Now we've got water coming in. This will have the petroleum coming in, so we can bring this up to power. Now, as I said before, this will start blocking very quickly because it will the other oil outputs, the heavy oil and the light oil, will start to back up really quickly. Usually when you have a larger oil field, you just drop down the oil jacks wherever you can grab the oil, and power balls becomes quite a mess in between all of them. So now we are pumping up oil. There's some little bit of oil in this pipeline which runs into here. You can see it start filling up, and then it cracks the oil, filling these tanks. And I happen to have a couple of turrets on hand. I have 2, so that's nice. Okay, a bit of defensive perimeter here. Once again, a reminder why we are building turrets. Let's move this back a little bit. So this now starts producing sulfur, and the storage tank is draining, but these are filling up, not terribly fast, but they are. So let's first let's look at our bus. I want to bus the sulfur, so I am going up to our bus. And these science lines coming back are currently the broadest part, so we're not going to use sulfur anywhere before here, so let's just snuggle up to the line we already have and draw it in that ways, or space it out a couple. Yeah, spacing it out would be nicer, I guess. Let's see, anything else we need. This one was particularly nice, right? And so running it along, I'm guessing. This seems just about right. Until it turns out to be wrong. And we will go underneath. And around the stone patch. Let's build a second one here, and let's tell it to process sulfur. Plug it in. Oh wait, that's wrong. I need to do this. So using these, stacking the pipes going in and out of chemical plants, you can make a bus run up and down while feeding the machines like such. So this one now too has water, and no, it doesn't. Now it has. Let's see if we can make this a little bit better. Nothing too much to worry about. Right. Getting belts. Which are over here. Short in copper, by the way. Let's do this. Now we have a line of sulfur running into our factory. Cliffs. Okay, we need to be creative here. There are ways to get cliffs out of the way. I don't think this will work, will it? It does. So can we find a spot where... concrete. Concrete! I do not yet have concrete. No. Oh, can come closer. Okay, so using an underground, apparently we can climb onto cliffs. Alright. So now we have sulfur. Let's have a look at what it takes to make. So now we have sulfur. Let's take a look at what it takes to make batteries. Let's see batteries. Where are my batteries? Oh, here, they've changed the icon. Sulfuric acid. And sulfuric acid is made out of sulfur and water. So let's see what's the clever thing to do here. We need to make sulfuric acid in another one of these chemical plants. Oh, by the way, before we forget, this is way more important. We need to do something with the excess light oil and heavy oil. A little later on we will, once we really find a big enough oil oil resources, once we really get into the oil, we can do different things with our light and heavy oil. Also, I hope to have advanced oil processing then, so we can really build a setup that depending on demand can switch between cracking oil to make petroleum, to make light oil, to make heavy oil. We can switch between all the different types of oil, or at least see if we need heavy and light oil and crack it down to petroleum, because we do need a lot of petroleum. This is the most heavy used oil type. But that's for later. Right now, let's just get rid of it. Is kind of the approach here. We can turn this into solid fuel. Solid fuel is basically what it says. You can use wherever we use coal now to burn up for our power plant or for the smelting here. You could also use solid fuel. And the conversion ratios from the different oil types to solid fuel are different for each type of oil. Light oil is the most efficient one. You can use the least light oil to produce the most solid fuel. So it's that's something to keep in mind. But for now, we are not very much concerned with how much it actually costs. We just don't want this to clog up our pipes. And as a side product, we can make this line combine solid fuel and coal. I'm a bit hesitant to wait. This feeds on into. Yeah, we need to do some cleaning up here. Because I don't want solid fuel on this line. And it's split off here very closely to the start of the factory. Can I bring in another line here? I can do that, okay. So this smelter will get a bit of solid fuel and a bit of coal for burning up. That's fine. Once again, we place these pipes and connect them as such. In fact, we don't need the underground here. This just takes one input, and we don't need to walk around back here as much as we would like to do in other places. So that's all really fine. In fact, I'm just going to use regular pipes here, and that was the last of my pipes. And I will use an underground here, so that we can at least walk into here. Now these start making solid fuel for us, which we will need to extract. Well, Once it is solid fuel, then solid fuel is just solid fuel. The machine doesn't care whether it was made from light oil, heavy oil, or whatever. But it is more efficient to use light oil for this process than it is heavy oil. That's too far, I guess. Let's have a line come up here. Feeding this from two sides, that's fine. And can I snake it around like that? Yes. I'm making this oil processing bit here hinders us from. Apparently. Oh great, oh right, this is feeding onto, right. Man, that's an oopsie. Clearing out all this smoke from here. I accidentally fed coal to both sides of this build here. Still a bit in excess. So we can drop our coal here, and I picked up a little bit too much iron ore, which I'm just gonna throw in here. And as you can see now, it's funny, it gets split right down the middle. Solid fuel is running in here, and as soon as this coal is gone, it will feed solid fuel into this slot here. It can't mix fuels, so if it has coal already in it, it will try and feed coal to it. But once the coal is gone, it will take the solid fuel and stack that up to 5. And same goes for this bit over here. The split seems to be 50-50, is kind of random. So there is our oil. And maybe it would be a good idea to only buzz water for now and make the sulfuric acid at the start of the battery factory. That might just be a reasonable idea. And I'll add it. Let's run the water line right next to the sulfur line here. I'm sure it'll be fine. Then we have a preferred side. Yes, let's stick to the. We barely have any oil, any petroleum at the moment. This is actively waiting to get sufficient amounts of petroleum. In fact, can we make a second? Can we make a second refinery? We need some steel for that. And some pipes. The second refinery is a bit overkill for the setup we currently have, but well, why not? Steel is down here. Production. These take some time to make, but you don't need that much of them throughout the game, so handcrafting these doesn't really pay to make these automatically. They also take a lot of things to produce, so they're hard to wire up, and I believe you need the assembler, the advanced assembler. Oh, this won't work. They do need to be spaced apart because otherwise these pipes will connect. And grounds. And power. You. Also the outputs on these are usually stacked as well. I haven't done that for this. So let's redo a little bit. Okay. That's that. And that is that. You can still squeeze through here. That's nice. So currently we have 2 of these bad boys running. And this seems to just about keep petroleum level. Now the yield on these guys will decrease over time. This is a bit overkill, it's really just for the excess. This will start decreasing pretty soon. It was about 300, it's now down at 250 already. So that's our oil setup. As you can see, it's a pretty involved process when we look at getting the oil, cracking the oil, working with the oil products. You can choose to make an entire fluid belt, so there's water involved, crude oil you don't want to put on a fluid bus, but the products you want to, and then there's sulfuric acid and lubricant, which we'll use later on, which are also fluid oil products. And then there's plastics and sulfurs, solid fuels, and the different kinds of cracking, so converting heavy oil into petroleum, light oil into, heavy oil into light oil and light oil into petroleum, which you can do later on, and even liquefying coal, so taking coal and liquefying them into oil. That's all things we can do later to expand this, but this is really just a very rough setup to show how the oil flows, as it were. And to get the sulfur we need to start making batteries, to start making laser turrets in the next episode. I will see you then. Thanks for watching this video on Official Nerd Business. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell icon. Did we discuss everything you wanted to hear, or did we miss anything? Any topics you want to hear in O&B? Leave your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.